Morning. Hi guys, we're going to finish up the notes for this entire packet today and be done with volume. So that's a good thing. Not too many to do. And then we'll start trying to pull this whole unit back together. Okay? All right, what's left? So it says volume of composite solids. Well, a composite basically means two shapes put together in a 3D form. So if we look at this first shape right here, it's made up of basically two things. So what are those two shapes? I usually write them down. Well, one is a rectangular prism. You can see it. Plus a cylinder, but not a whole cylinder, right? Because it's like half, so it's a half cylinder. Okay, the top from there to there. So basically what it's asking us to do, it says write an expression that can be used to represent the volume of the chest below. Okay, so I basically just need to write the formula. So the formula for volume of a prism is length with height plus half the formula for a cylinder is pi r squared h. That's it. That's all it wants me to do. There it is. There's my expression. But in part B, now it says what's the approximate volume. Use 3.14 for the approximation of pi. Round your answer to the nearest tenth. Okay, so now we take all of that and we just sub in everything we know. So the volume is going to be the length is 15.3. I'm going to multiply that times the width, which is 4, and the height, which is, that's a 6. Okay. And add that to 1/2 still, pi, they said use 3.14. And the radius, so if I think about this, if it's 4 feet here, then it's 4 feet there, right? But I don't want 4 feet because that's the diameter. I want the radius, so I actually have to use 2 feet because that's the halfway point. So that's where that comes from. So 2 squared. And then the height of the cylinder is actually, picture you standing the cylinder upright, then this would be the actual height, which is the 15.3. Okay, so the radius is 2 because you got to go halfway, and this is 15.3 because you got a picture kicking it up on its side. So, you know, it would look something like this. Round it off. So there's 15, and there's the 2 for the radius. Okay? All right, and then it's a matter of just taking your calculator and plugging that all in. So if I do that on my calculator, I'm going to do it in 2 sections. 15.3 times 4 times 6 equals 367.2 plus, and then I'm going to come over here and do 0.5 times 3.14 times 4, because I already know 2 squared is 4, times 15.3. That's going to give me 96.084. Going to add those to 367.2, and I get a total answer of the volume being equal to 463. And if I round it to the nearest tenth, it's 0.3 because it was 0.284. So 3 in the units would be feet cubed. And that's it. That's a composite solid. Just putting two things together. Make sure you can see the answers to that. Okay, so first part gave me 367, second part gave me that. I put it back together and I got that. All right, let's try another shape over here. So if you look at the one on the next page, again, it says write an expression. So I don't really even need an equal sign if it's just an expression. For the volume of that, it's an ice cream scoop, cone, and scoop shown below. Explain what each part of the expression represents. Assume the sphere just touches the base of the cone. Okay. So basically what we have here is two shapes. So we consist of a sphere for the scoop plus a cone. So again, what's the formula for a sphere? It's 4/3 pi r cubed. And you would never have to memorize this on a test. I would give it to you, but and a cone is number 1/3 pi r squared h, just like a cylinder, but you take a third. So that's it. That's all they want for that part right there. Tell me the formula to get the answer. Okay. And then in part B, it says, assuming every part could be filled with ice cream, what is the exact and approximate volume of the cone and the scoop? Remember, exact answers are left in terms of pi, it says, and approximate answers use 3.14. Okay, so we start going on this. Well, if I want the exact answer for the first one, I'm going to leave it 4/3. I'm going to leave it pi. What would be the radius? Well, the radius of that sphere is 1. Okay. 1 cubed. Plus, then it's 1/3. And then I'm still going to leave pi. What's the radius of the cone? Also 1. And the height of the cone is 3. 1 squared, 3. Okay. So let's simplify this. Well, that's pretty easy because 1 cubed is 1, and times 4/3 would be 4/3 pi. Plus, if I do this one, 1 squared is 1 times 3, and a third of 1, or a third of 3 is just pi. So basically, I'm adding 1 pi to 4/3 pi. Well, I'm going to change that to 3/3 is the same thing as 1/3 pi, right? Or is 1 pi. Because it's equal to 1. So, but that makes me add, because remember, if I add fractions, I got to have a common denominator. So really, in terms of pi, the answer is 7/3 pi. And the units would be inches cubed. Okay, so this, remember, is what we call the exact answer. And if I want the approximate answer, it makes my life easier because all I have to do, I don't have to put in every single thing again. I just do 7/3 times 3.14. And I use my calculator to do that. So if I do that, fraction 7/3 times 3.14 equals 7.32. It's round to the nearest hundredth place, so it would actually be 7.33 inches cubed. I had to round up. And that's it. That's how you would do that one. Not too bad, right? Okay. So in the next one, okay, we got this, it's a trophy. Oh, look at that. Looking good as a basketball trophy, huh? So it's made up of the sphere, the cylinder, and a rectangular prism. So basically, if I had to write the expression for the volume again, the sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed, plus the cylinder is pi r squared h, plus the base is a rectangular cylinder, which is length with height. That's it. It's made up of a sphere plus a cylinder plus a rectangular prism. That's it. There it is. Those are the three. Sorry, off camera. So that's all they would want you to do for that part, is just to write down the formula. Okay. Part B, how much silver is used to produce, oh, it's a silver trophy. Give the exact and approximate answer to the nearest hundredth place. Okay. Let's do this one. Okay, here we go. So if we put this back together and we plug in everything again, then I say that volume should equal 4/3, keeping the pi for the exact answer. Now, radius, let's look. Well, the diameter is 5, so that makes the radius 2.5, halfway. So 2.5 cubed plus pi. For this one, leave it there. What's the radius of the little one? Well, again, they're showing the diameter is 1, so that means the radius is 0.5 for that squared. And the height would be 6. Plus length, width, and height would be 5 times 2, it looks like, for that last one. Okay, make sure you can see all that. That's where I got all that. Okay, so now it's just a matter of simplifying this a little bit. So I do need my calculator for 2.5 to a third. So 2.5 caret key 3 is 15.625. So right now we got 4/3 pi times 15.625 plus pi times 0.5 squared would be 0.25. 0.25 times 6, though I might as well do that, is 1.5 plus 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 2 is 50. All right, well, this still could be simplified more, right? So I'm going to multiply and do 15. 20.625 times 4 thirds, and then divided by 3 is, it's kind of a weird answer, it's 20.83 repeating, okay, plus 1 pi, sorry, still need the pi, plus 1.5 pi. So if I added, so because they both have pi, pi's like an x, you can add these two together, but you can't add the 50 because the 50 doesn't have a pi. So I can only add these first two together, and it would be, if I added plus 1.5, then my answer is really, it comes out to be 22 and 0.3 repeating, which is really a third pi, plus 50. So you're like, okay, that's a weird answer. Yep, looks weird, but it is. That's the right answer. Not very pretty. But that would be the exact answer because I didn't put in any value for pi and I didn't round any of my decimals. Okay, so if I add that all together, that's what it turns out to be. Now, if I want the approximate answer, then all I got to do is say, all right, take that number, 22 1/3, times 3.14, and I get 70.126 repeating, plus 50, so I'm going to add 50 to that. And it's actually going to give me to the nearest hundredth, 120.13, and that would be inches cubed worth of silver to make that marvelous trophy. Okay, and that's it. All right, now originally answer 47 might have been your homework, but since we're going on a roll here, we might as well do this and see what we can get. So this one's a little different. It says, does anyone have anything to do? Find the approximate volume, so I don't need the exact volume, of a rectangular prism with a hole drawn through it. Well, in this case then, so what are my shapes? I have a big cylinder, but I'm not going to add the hole because it's a hole. So I'm subtracting the cylinder, which is pi r squared h. So this is a little different this time. So when I want to do this, I'm going to plug everything in. The length being the 21.25 times the width 6, the height. Well, I switch those around, but that's okay. Put all those in like that. Minus, all right, we can actually, since they want the approximate answer, I'm going to put in 3.14 now. Now, the radius of the cylinder is what I got to figure out. Well, I think we can do this. You guys can figure this out easily. If this is 8.5 from here to here, and they told you this is 2 and this is 2, take off 4, then the diameter would be 4.5. But I don't want the diameter, I want the radius. So 4.5 divided by 2 is 2.25. 2.25 squared. And the height of the cylinder is from here to here. So it's actually the 6 going this way. So that would be that. Okay, so in 2 steps, if I use my calculator and I do 21.25 times 6 times 8.5, this would be 1083.75 minus, and if I do 3.14 times 2.25 squared times 6, that gives me 95.3775, and then I have to subtract those two things. 95.3775 gives me grand total 988 point to the nearest tenth would be 0.4. And then that would be inches cubed for the volume. V equals V equals V equals. All right. And then finally, what is the exact total volume of this tiered cake? It's a fun cake. So basically, you have to add all the tiers together. So they're all shaped like cylinders, right? So if they're all shaped like cylinders and they all got the same formula, so basically you're going to be adding pi r squared h to the first tier, pi r squared h for the second tier, and pi r squared h for the third tier. All right, well, if we start at the bottom, then that's pi, our radius would be 4, or no, I'm sorry, 8, it was halfway there, and the height is 4. plus the second one is pi, but the radius is 4 squared times the height is still 4. Height's the same every time. And the last one is 2, and the height is 4. So if we just simplify each part, 8 times 8 is 64. 64 times 4 is 256. So 256 pi plus 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64 pi. And 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16 pi. And it's just a matter of adding plus 64 plus 16. And the whole thing would be 336 pi inches cubed. That would be our exact answer. And yay, you finished the whole packet. All done. Nothing more to do. I'll throw out the review sheets this week. Okay, way to go.